Hey everybody, welcome to another video. And this video is somewhat of a knife discussion video. And what inspired me to make this video is Metal Complex and Knife Neves are having somewhat of a debate, I guess. And Metal Complex is saying that I guess he disagrees with some of the collectors who actually price gouge. In other words, they'll collect knives to flip them for higher value than they're really worth on the market. And he kind of, I guess, disapproves of that. And Neve's argument is that if you're honest about making a profit, doing what you like, there's no harm in making a profit off of things that you purchase, and if there's a market for that particular knife and people are willing to pay more for what it's really worth, then there's no harm in it as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. I kind of agree with him on the fact that if you possess a knife that has value because it's rare or because it's no longer made and you have a couple of them or maybe more than a couple of them, and you're trying to, you know, uh, sell it to people and they're willing to pay 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 times more than what it's really worth, and you can make a profit, that's fine. Sell it. It makes somebody happy. That's great. But what I really don't like in this community is there are people in this community who will just on purpose go and because they can do it, they will go and purchase everything that they can, knowing that it's going to be in short supply, and they're hoarding everything that they can get their hands on, and then reselling those knives for double or triple the amount that they're worth. Okay. I give you an example of this knife here. According to Tobias, the Walker Swiss Army knife, the Walker model, is one of the knives that are going to be discontinued by Victorinox. Well, I ran out and got one because I didn't want to miss out on owning one. Okay. So when I was at Smoky Mountain Knife Works, I saw this on the racks, and there were 3 of them on the rack. Now, if I was greedy, knowing that this knife was going to be discontinued, I would have bought all 3. I would have bought all 3 of them, and they would have been sold out because there was only 3 on the rack. And I don't know if they have more in the back or more in stock or whatever, but trust me, there were several of the other models on the rack of each model. Each model had like several on the rack, and the Walker there was only like 3 of them on the rack, and I could have bought all 3. I had the money to do it. I could have bought all 3, and I could have hoarded these, and I could go out there and buy as many of these as I can, and just hold on to them and wait for this knife to be discontinued, and then start selling them to people who want it for $50, $60. Okay, and there probably will be people who are willing to pay that much to own this in mint condition because Victorinox is supposedly going to stop making this model. And if you're doing that, I'd have to say I can't agree. I can't agree on that. I mean, if you're doing stuff like that, I can't have respect for people who do that. I really can't. I mean, this community is all about enjoying your knives Even the people who collect knives, they collect it not only because they have monetary value, but because it has, it's something that people do in this community. They enjoy collecting knives, and you can't enjoy collecting knives when you have people just going out there knowing that these knives are eventually going to be rare or hard to find, and they'll go and buy as many as they can to price gouge other people in the community. That's wrong. Now, I purchased this and I kept it in the case for a reason. Number one, I have uh 3 other Victorinox knives. Okay, so I really don't need another Victorinox knife. I'm just holding on to this because I didn't want to miss out on owning, like I said, owning one before. I mean, this may be my last chance to own one in mint condition, brand new, because they're supposedly going to stop making them. So I bought one for personal reasons. Now later down the road, maybe I may need money, or maybe I'll want something that costs a little bit more than I can afford. So I may want to sell this so I can buy whatever I want in the future. So I may sell this for, I don't know, twice what it's worth, retail what it was worth, and if somebody's willing to pay for it, great. I make an extra few bucks and buy whatever I want. But the thing is there are people who are making it a business to go out there and hoard as many supposedly future rare knives, and like Great Eastern Cutlery knives, for example. There are people who are just like taking advantage of the fact that they can literally get a hold of as many as they can when they first come out. They have, for some reason, some of these people have some kind of access to uh, the manufacturer, where they get like, all of these knives that are being manufactured. They get first pick. I mean, they just get like, I don't know how they do it, but they're getting a hold of all of the knives that EDC, Great Eastern Cutlery is making, and they're hoarding it all, and then they're reselling them for twice or 3 times their value. Like Johnny on the Spot, the Great Eastern Cutlery makes Johnny on the Spot knife. It's a camping knife with a can opener, screwdriver, and a main knife. It's a camp knife, and it's retailed at like $130 by Great Eastern Cutlery. Now, $130 in itself is very expensive. It's very expensive. I mean, come on, for a folding pocket knife that kids used to buy for 10, 15, $20. And to be honest with you, the quality and the workmanship and the material is not that much different. Not that much different than what it used to be when it was only 10, 15, $20. And these knives were mainly bought by kids who use them to go camping with, to use to keep in their pockets. It was basically a young boy's or young girl's knives. And because now that they're more of a nostalgic collectible, it's a niche market now. Great Eastern Cutlery, of course, is going to raise the price, and they have to make a profit. Yes, I understand they have to stay in business. Pocket knives are not selling to the mainstream like they used to, so I'm sure these pocket knives are now premiumly priced, and $130 for a folding pocket knife is outrageous. But I understand these big companies, or these companies, are now having to charge that kind of money to make a profit. But then if that wasn't bad enough, you got people who are hoarding these knives and selling them for $250 to $300. Now that I can't agree with Neves. That's not people doing honest business. That's not people who are uh, being fair in this knife community. They're crooks. In my opinion, they're criminals. You know, uh, if and Neve says, well, that doesn't really hurt anybody. Long as you're making a profit and people are willing to pay. Yeah, sure. There's people willing to pay that kind of money and own something like that. But if it was truly rare, and it's not, there's enough knives out there for everybody to eventually get one if they wanted one for $130. But you can't, no one can, because there's a handful of people out there who are hoarding them. They're literally jumping on every little crevices in the market to get a hold of all of these knives in their possession so they can sell it for $250 to $300 and even more in some cases. So to me, that's actually hurting the people who live on budgets. Okay, people who enjoy collecting these hobbies. This hobby is supposed to be an affordable poor man's hobby. Okay, you guys are twisted in the head if you think that this is this is a hobby for the rich. Okay, yes, the rich people, people with money, they can make anything a hobby and they can own whatever they want to own. But when you hoard these trinkets, okay, I mean for example, these two here, Rough Riders, are inexpensive knives. But in reality, if you compare this knife to a case or a Great Eastern Cutlery, the workmanship and quality is the same. It's the same. This knife here shouldn't cost any less or any more than a case knife or a Great Eastern Cutlery knife. Okay, the only reason the Great Eastern Cutlery knife and the case knives are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times more is because it's made in the USA. It's the workers are paid more. It's a niche market, and in order for them to stay in business, they have to charge that much. Okay, but here, because this knife here and this knife here is made in China under very cheap labor, okay, they can be sold for a lot less. And because they're sold for a lot less and they're mass produced, um, nobody really go out of their way to hoard these knives to sell. But there are some actually, even in the Rough Rider market, there are people who are hoarding some of the rarer ones and reselling them, and it's really just outrageous. Now, take this knife for instance. It's a Boker, Soligen, Germany made Boker, smooth bone yellow, smooth bone copperhead knife, and I just happened to purchase one from Smoky Mountain Knife Works because I was looking for a good quality case EDC. Great Eastern Cutlery or a Boker knife, and this was the knife that I came across that I liked, and it looked pretty cool. And also, it was a original German Soligen, Germany made Boker knife, and I wanted to own one, so I purchased it, and it was for $60. Okay, now is it really worth $60? No. When it was brand new, I'm sure somewhere down the line, it didn't cost that much, but now it costs that much because it is one of the more rare knives now. It's not rare, but it's hard pressed. I challenge anyone to go and find one in stock at any of the mainstream knife websites like Blade HQ, even Smoking Mountain Knife Works, even Amazon. I could not find this exact model anywhere. So to me, it's rare. So I kind of like owning this. But did I buy this to sell it to somebody for more than what I bought it? No, not really. Later down the road, if I find out that this has a value of high value where somebody's willing to pay $300-400 for it, and they want to pay me that much for it, sure, I'll sell it to them for $300-400. Great, but I didn't intentionally buy this for that reason. I bought it because I want to enjoy it, and it does make me kind of feel good to know that this has some value to it. Okay, now, but there are people who make it their business to go out and get a hold of as many as they can and deprive other people of purchasing the knife at a reasonable price, even though they're already marked higher than retail. They'll price gouge and sell it for way more than what they're worth. And just because there's people out there who can afford it and buy it, they stay in business. And to me, I have to agree with, in that respect, I have to agree with Metal Complex. These people who are doing that are a discredit to the whole knife community. They are. Okay? There's absolutely no reason why you should be making money in that manner, because you are hurting people. You're hurting people who are living on a budget, who live by modest means, and they're trying to enjoy life by purchasing things that make them happy. And things like this should not cost arm and a leg because it's artificially inflated. The cost of these knives, none of these knives are worth more than $100. None. Absolutely no pocket knife. I don't care what it's made out of, unless it's made out of actual gold, silver, titanium, rare metals and rare materials. Then it shouldn't cost more than $100. Okay. And I understand, like I said, some of these companies are niche markets and they have to stay in business, and whatever they sell, they have to sell it for more than they have to sell at a certain price to stay in business. That's fine. But then you got these third-hand people, they're like hoarding these knives and charging way more than what they're worth. And then you got people who live on modest means. I mean, they working stiffs, living paycheck to paycheck, and they just want to, be able to afford something nice, something like this, and enjoy their, collection. But then you got these people who are just profiteering, and to me, hey, you collect knives and you happen to own something that's rare or something that's sought after by many people, and you want to make a profit off of it by selling it off so you can buy more knives or buy something else or maybe pay off a bill or something, that's great. I mean, I don't, even if you want to make a living reselling knives at a little bit higher profit than what you bought it for, that's fine too. But the thing is there are some greedy MFers out there who are purchasing or hoarding all these knives and selling it for 2 or 3 or 4 times what they're worth. And to me, they're criminals. To me, if you see somebody like that in this community, you need to shun them. You need to shut them out. You need to tell them that you don't appreciate what they're doing. Okay? And anybody who I watch on YouTube, if anybody out there support people like that, if you talk about them with fondness and respect, I will totally disrespect you and totally not watch your channel. Because if I find out you're contributing to the greed and the corruption in this community, that's it. I will no longer watch your videos. I will click you off, okay? Because, like I said, there are guys in this community who will spend every penny that they have to buy a knife every week, or they will buy anywhere from, half a dozen to a dozen knives a month, okay? Every little bit of extra income that they have, they will spend money to buy knives because they're addicted to collecting these things, or they just love collecting, and they just spend money. And a lot of them have absolutely no intentions of making money off of their hobby, okay? But then there's people who just take advantage of those people, and that I can't have respect for people like that, who just totally just hoard what's out there, knowing that they're going to be taking advantage of people who are looking for these things. I mean, I would love to purchase a Great Eastern cutlery knife, and I would be willing to pay even $20, $40 dollars extra to own one. But when you're talking $150 to $200 more than what it's retail priced at, man, these people, they need to go to jail. I mean, seriously. I mean, just because there are people with money willing to pay for that doesn't make it right. It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you once again, if I see anybody in this knife community making videos supporting that kind of behavior, that's it. You don't get a view from me. I will unsubscribe and ban you from my view. All right, so that's all I got to say. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye.